All right. Hello, everybody. 90 Day Sizzling Summer Hotties. I am excited to be with you guys and to do our group call today. And today's going to kind of be a really good group call to where we kind of take in the things that we've learned over the last few weeks and some of the things that we're doing as part of our business and put it together to really send a message to us on what we need to be strong in regards to our skill set. So today's going to be a great day for you. I wanted to start off the call by just really honoring my upline, Carlita Nelson. As many of you know, we've had a very, very busy weekend with the wedding of her sweet son, who happens to be my son's best friend. And I want to just say that Friday, she had hundreds of people at her house, and she had overnight guests. She still has overnight guests. Her son's wedding was on Saturday. But guess who was on the book club call? That woman has taught me more about this business by her example than she has with any word she's ever spoken to me. Her example, guys, is something we all need to strive to be, because here in the midst of life, she still is keeping her business a priority. And I'm sure in the mind of an entrepreneur and in the mind of a successful person like she is, she probably thought, this is only 30 minutes of my day, but I'll be engaged in my business. So guys, I feel like, what she has said, she's lived out. She has said many, many times, you will be successful in this business when you can deal with life and have life happen, but still continue to keep your business a priority. Whether or not you're going on vacation, or you're going to the lake, or you're going on a cruise ship. I mean, whatever the circumstance, or your son's getting married. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. Successful people always keep their business a priority, even in the midst of life. So I just want to honor her on this call, and I am definitely going to be speaking those words straight to her to edify her in person, but I want to edify her in public with all of you. The first thing I want to show you guys as we kind of set up our call today is a tool. That we have actually been using to really focus on, so that we can duplicate our business, multiply our business, and get to a big income level. So in the process of doing that, let me go ahead and see if I can't pull this up. My computer is acting a little bit crazy. It pops over to another screen when I do a share screen. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Okay, well, we're just gonna do it this way then. I don't know how else to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna just show you guys on the website, because I had the document already pulled up, but it's my screen sliding. I don't know why it's doing that. So let me just show you this. This is a tool that Lauren Fisher actually created for all of us, but it's talking about going race to area manager. And I want to show you this tool. Of course, I'm going to our website. I'm going under all documents. I'm scrolling down. It's in alpha order, and I'm going to look for the R's, race for area manager. I'm going to pull this document up, and I want you guys to know this as a really solid tool for your business. We don't only want to strive to race to area manager, but we want to help the people on our team race to area manager. And so I want you guys just to kind of take this in and look at this as we go through the race to area manager, as we go through our call today that we're going to be doing. And I want you to just kind of look at it, and wherever you are in the business, think about either, am I an area? Do I need to get areas at my level? Or think of it as, if you're a consultant in a district, I need to try to get to area as soon as possible. So again, I want to recognize this tool and have this as something that we really focus on in our business. So here you are in the middle, and here are your 8 events in the little circles. And off of those 8 events, it only takes 3 or 4 people for you to go area manager that are doing the business. So I want us to continue to remember that. And again, you know, talking about Carlita and really edifying her in the weekend that we've had together in just the crazy busyness, and I was trying to help her as much as I could with all the wedding plans and all of her visitors and out-of-state visitors. I want you to continue to hold on to and grasp her words, because again, she has taught me more by her example than she ever has by her words. And I want you all to be that leader too. She's taught me again that in life, if you can keep your business a priority in the midst of life, you will be successful, because that's what successful people do. And I firsthand saw what she had in her home, 100 or so people on Friday, overnight guest. I was trying to help as much as I could. My son was a part of that. But I will tell you that that next day, she was on the book club. So I want you guys to understand how solid that is, and for us to be the example that we need to be for our teams, because our teams will mirror what we do. So again, seeing her and her lead like that as an example, it just instantly, early in my business, made me feel like I needed to do what she was doing and walk the way that she was walking. And so she always talked to me about going area. She never really talked about going district. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through our call today. So what I want to do, guys, is now focus on a call. This is a call that is a staple. It's in my notes on my phone. I want it to be something that we listen to every time we go through our 90-day journey, to bring out the awareness that we need to each be an area manager making machine. We need to go area. We need to teach others to go area. And we do that through our text verbiage for 3-way calls and through coffee dates. It's a sorting process. We're not going to put a time limit on God. And when he brings our business builders and our team into place, we're going to work while we wait. And we're going to work with a patience and a faithfulness to the system so that it all comes about. So guys, what we're going to share today is Wendy Cunningham's amazing training on area manager making machine. And again, it's something some of you have heard. It's something you need to hear again and again and again. So we're going to take time out today and we're going to listen to this with the idea of multiplying our business. So feel free to take notes on this. This is a note taker. And let's start and listen to Wendy at how her business exploded whenever she really grasped on to helping people go area.
Well, thank you. What a wonderful introduction. My goodness. I'm so excited to be training with you guys today. Actually, I saw, Mary, that yesterday was your 10-year anniversary with Arbonne, and today is my 7-year anniversary with Arbonne. So it's a total in the history of Arbonne. But I launched my business 7 years ago today. So I've had, I always joke that I went nowhere quickly in Arbonne. I definitely, I was not someone that was off to the races by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But I just want to thank you, Mary, for inviting me to train. It's such an honor to be training for you and your team. Of course, I get something out of it. I always get something when I have the opportunity to hopefully inspire people to grow their business. But I have to say, when I saw you boxing me, I thought to myself, I was with my husband in the car, I was like, oh, I must be doing something right. Right? Is boxing me, and then to be asked to train was just awesome. So I'm very honored to do it. And as she mentioned, today I'm going to be training on being an area manager making machine. And I want to explain to you guys a little bit about why this is a topic that I'm personally very passionate about, and how, of course, you can become an area manager making machine yourself. I'm going to give you some tips to do that. So to paint the picture of why this can be a really key shift in the growth potential of your business, I want to take you back to the beginning of my business for a second. So when I started my Arbonne business 7 years ago, I remember being taught to be a district manager making machine. Luckily, Mary avoided that. She was taught right out of the gate to be an area manager making machine. But for me, I was always taught to be a district manager making machine. So my goal in my first month was to go into qualification for district manager. My focus was on booking my 8 demos a month, and my sights were set on regional vice president right out of the gate. So that's what I was taught. So that's what I did. In my first month, I did about $1,800 in volume. Woohoo! District manager, check, right? District qual. I did book and hold my 8 demos, and I did that every month regularly for the first year. And I kept my sights firmly planted on regional vice president. And by the end of 2009, which was my first year, I had promoted exactly one district manager direct to me. So woohoo, look at me go, right? You see, the problem with this is when the bar is set low and we fall below the bar, which is not uncommon, we often fall below the level of success. So in addition to the bar being set at a relatively low level for me right out of the gate, I have to also confess that I was not entirely coachable. So some of you might relate to this. Although Kirsten Costello, she's now an ENVP, at that time she was my direct RVP, she told me to reach out about the business and share this business right away, but I did not do that. I figured that if people want to do this business, they would certainly tell me. And I didn't want to be pushy. Well, as it turns out, I found out that very few people just come up to you and tell you out of nowhere that they want to do Arbonne with you. Very, very few people. You really do have to ask. So that's kind of the big piece of where I was not coachable. So how was I going to be a district manager making machine, let alone an area manager making machine, if I wasn't sharing this business? So this was a lesson that I had to learn the hard way, and I hope that you don't have to learn the hard way. So as helpful as I hope this training is for you, it'll mean nothing if you decide not to use the information. And that's the number one reason why I see people quit in Arbonne. They think they're being coachable, or maybe they even think they have a better way. But at the end of the day, I'm realizing more and more that your coachability in this business is really everything. And I know I'm on a little tangent here, but I think it's important. I want to point out that I wasn't entirely coachable, only in some ways. I was in a lot of activity. I really grabbed on to this idea of doing 8 demos a month, and I did that consistently. So for me, I felt like I was being very coachable, but I wasn't seeing success because I wasn't grabbing a hold of everything that my coach was telling me to do. So that's kind of the big piece here, is really embracing the gift of this business and what we have to offer and sharing that right away. So, and back to my story. In 2010, after a year of being in this business, I finally got it through my head that I needed to be sharing this business much more if I even wanted to be a district manager making machine. So I grew bolder and I fumbled through inviting people to take a look at this business. It became obvious this was clearly the thing I had not been doing enough of. But I still stayed very firmly focused on promoting district managers. And I became really good at painting this picture for new builders. I joke and I say, become a district manager, be the manager of your very own district. You know, I made it so glamorous. Like, this was just totally where the bar was for me. And man, once I embraced sharing this business, I really got good at becoming a district manager making machine. At one point in my business, I was actually recognized on a company call for promoting the most district managers out of my central district. So I can't even drill home this point enough that I was just so focused on that. Well, as the story goes, for the first 5 years of my business, I remained focused on this goal of promoting district managers. And as a result, over those 5 years, I certainly promoted many, many district managers in my business. I had even become a regional vice president, but I had only ever promoted 4 people total to the title of area manager, and that's including myself. So 4 people had achieved area manager in 5 years. And at the end of 2013, only myself and 1 other area manager remained. So I had promoted 2, but I promoted 4, but I had lost 2. So obviously I was doing something wrong. The way I sum it up is I had done just enough vision casting to get myself to where I wanted to be, which at that time was region. Then came my shift, you guys. At the beginning of 2014, I decided it was about time that I went nation. So for my journey, it took me a year from the point of becoming a district manager. So I went district in 2 months, and then it took me a whole nother year to become an area manager, and then it took me a whole nother year and some change after that to become a regional vice president, and then I was a region. I camped there for about 3 years. So in 2014, I was ready to go nation. So let me just tell you this. When I decided to go nation, my business was not ready to go nation, but I was. And I'll talk more about that in a minute, but I just wanted to throw that in here because if you're a brand new district manager or even a brand new consultant and you're thinking that nation is just so far down the road for you, I want to encourage you to stop shooting yourself in the foot for a minute because nation is exactly as far away as you tell yourself it is. So as a result of my decision to go nation, over the last 2 years of my business, there have been 26 people promoted to the title of area manager or above, and we now have 3 more in qualification in my success line as of today. So obviously there was a massive shift. What was it? I taught myself and my team to become area manager making machines. The goal in the first month became area qualification, not district qualification. The focus shifted to teaching new builders how to confidently share the blessing of the business in addition to booking their 8 demos a month. And now our sights were set on nation. Almost immediately, I start talking to people about nation and not region. So it was just, the shift was a shift in my vision. My vision had resided at region for so long, and my shift was my vision changed to nation. And as a result, I raised the bar. So who listening to this call believes that MVP is the best of the 4 promotional levels in Arbonne? I hope all of you, right? And who listening to this call was completely blown away by what is offered at the level of national vice president? Not just the income, but the whole thing, the trips and the jewelry and the recognition and all of that. I was just so blown away by what is offered at national vice president. So if that's you, if you feel like that, why would you set the bar any lower than national vice president? You shouldn't for yourself, and you shouldn't for new builders, because it's completely possible for absolutely anyone to become a national vice president. So that's where the bar should be. That's where the vision should be cast. So it's time to make that shift, you guys. Consultants, your goal is not district qualification. It's area qualification. Districts and area managers, your goal is not to go region. Your goal is to go nation. And regions, your goal isn't to go nation, it's to grow nation. The reason why I was so focused on promoting district managers was, yes, I was taught to do that, but also my vision was so small, you guys. It felt really safe and easy. I could teach people to go district manager. That was easy. I could hardly get anyone to go area. That was really hard. So how the heck would I get anyone to go region? And if I couldn't get anyone to go region, then how on earth would I ever become a nation? My vision was completely dictated by my fear. So Kirsten Costello and I were recently talking, and we were recalling that early on in our business, we learned that going district is about me, going area is about me becoming a leader, going region is about me growing leaders, and going nation is about my team. Whoa, that was such an interesting thing to look back on and remember learning. And first of all, I want you to really recognize the importance that what you teach really has an impact. What you teach people right out of the gate, it sticks in their head. And that stuck in Kirsten and my head that, going nation really isn't about us. It's about our team. So I camped on that. So be honest, who on this call is waiting until your business starts to grow and you start to get some rock stars signed up before you even set your sights on nation, right? It's okay if that's where you're at, but I want you to consider this. What if that is exactly the leadership that's being duplicated in your organization? What if that's the message you're sending? What if everyone you bring into Arbonne immediately waits for new people to join? What if they immediately start to look backwards in their organization for the next person who's going to help propel them forward? Let me put it to you this way. When is the last time your car went forward when you had it in reverse, right? It's impossible to create a vision for your future when you're focused on where you've already been. Even if you're brand new, no one's going to follow you if you don't know exactly where you're going. And no one's going to follow you if where you're going is district manager, right? So you guys have to have a really big vision that inspires other people's big vision. It's time to turn around and face your business forward. So let me clear up any misinformation you might have in your head right now. Going Nation is about you. So don't wait for your team to be ready. If you are going to run a marathon, do you care if your neighbor is training for it? No, it's your race, right? The only one you're worried about being ready is you. And I tell my team that all the time. The only person you have to worry about doing work or, not quitting your business is you. Because as long as you're doing work and as long as you don't quit, you will be the driving force of your business. So in case you guys are not familiar with my story, I want to share really quickly the numbers between my making the decision to go Nation, which was in February of 2014, and the realization of Nation, which happened 7 months later. So I want to share the numbers with you. That February, we did 50,000. In March, we did 81,000, which is more than I had ever done, ever in the history of my business. In April, we did 94,000. In May, we did 160. So 160 is qualification for Nation. I decided in February we qualified for the first time in May. I knew it was a little bit inflated because of GTC, but even still. In June, we did 117. In July, we did 132. In August, we did 168. And in September, we did 278. So I want to share that with you because that all happened just based on the power of my decision to go Nation. And of course, I have a very strong faith, so I don't believe that I don't believe I did it all by myself at all. I had a lot of help from God and faith, but it was a big shift within myself, growing the confidence to be a leader that could have a vision that could take our team to Nation. So that was really the shift. But what I recently discovered to be even more relevant for this training in particular were the numbers, the 6 months before I decided to go Nation. So I want to share those numbers with you because they're in such stark contrast to the crazy growth that obviously going Nation produced massive growth in my organization, as you just heard from those numbers. But the 6 months before that decision, my numbers looked like this: 37,000, 33,000, 28,000, 45,000, 45,000, 39,000. So I was not, you guys, if anything, that should show you that my team was barely ready to be a region, let alone a nation, right? I had been a region for 2.5 years, and I was still struggling to even maintain my region when I decided to go nation. So I really just want you to know it doesn't really matter what your business looks like today. It doesn't matter if you're in a place of struggle or if you see the growth already happening in your business. It doesn't matter because it starts with you anyway. So I decided that whether my team was ready or not, I was. And with God and with faith, I made that shift. And in the great words of Kevin Costner, you guys, if you build it, they will come, right? So once you are on your way to Nation, you'll attract the team it takes to get you there. So if your vision is area or region, promoting district managers is probably going to be enough. It was for me. But once I created a vision of Nation, I knew that I had to aspire leadership, not just people, but leadership. So I raised the bar for myself, which in turn, that was the first shift, that in turn raised the bar for my team. So region is no longer a destination in my Nation. It's just a stop along the way. So then once I raised the bar for my team, I raised the bar for my new builders. So in short, I now do enough vision casting to get us all to where we want to be, not just myself. I've realized that a small vision doesn't serve anyone. So how does this relate to area manager, and how can you become an area manager making machine? I have 5 tips for you. So number 1, change your vocabulary. You guys, the words district manager qualification do not often come out of my mouth. And the 1,000 QB qualification is banished from my vocabulary. In Arbonne, our job is to help people become successful. So please tell me how setting a goal of $1,000 or $1,500 for someone in their first month is setting them up for success. You guys, it isn't. In my experience, I've seen very few builders go into qualification with $1,000 and promote to district manager the next month. That qualification does not serve anyone. And to be honest, I just completely hope that people are not reading the success plan, because I just never even tell anyone about it. It just like doesn't come out of my mouth. Number 2, raise the bar. So let's imagine that we set the bar at area manager qualification for a new builder in their first month. What would that look like? Of course, your best case is that you've got a new leader who is well on their way to establishing some serious momentum in their business, and of course, in turn, in your business. The second best case scenario is you've got someone who has a huge vision, who promotes to district manager in 1 month, likely with a team, even if they do fall shy of area manager qual in their first month. And you guys, your worst case scenario becomes you've got a strong district in qualification. They feel very confident. They're recognizing the power of sharing this business and what it will mean for them when they start by serving other people. Tip number 3, give them what they need. I don't know about you guys, but I have found that when you ask a new builder what it takes for them to feel really excited about their Arbonne business, their answer is a paycheck of about $1,500. That's kind of the magic number. So maybe if you're new, you're kind of nodding your head right now. Maybe you're wondering, yes, how do I make $1,500 as soon as possible? You guys, the answer is to go area. That's exactly how. So do you think if we could get you or a new builder on your team $1,000 within a few months, do you think they'd be more likely to stick and stay in Arbonne? Do you think they'd be more likely to duplicate what you're doing? Of course. So that's why we want to set their sights on area right away. Tip number 4, don't let your fear be their bar. We're not in Arbonne to sponsor warm bodies. We're here to change the lives of those who are willing to do the work. So stop protecting your yes and start building leaders. And by building leaders, I want you to know that I mean empower them. Don't boss them around. When a new person's introduction to Arbonne is to feel inspired and motivated and lifted up and encouraged, they're far more likely to go for big things than if they feel dictated to or assigned tasks. Your excitement for them and your belief in them will make them willing to stretch. And if you find that your ambitious goals are just too grandiose for some of these people, well, then your job is to let them where they're at and go sponsor someone who's ready to run with you. So yes, I realize that many of you are probably fearing that you'll scare off new builders if you put a goal of $10,000 in front of them in their first month. I get that. And honestly, that held me back for a really long time. I didn't want to intimidate anyone. So I made it seem real easy and I kept the bar really low. But you guys, if you're new, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, area manager, that sounds so scary. But let me offer you some things to consider. New builders are intimidated by whatever you put in front of them because they have no perspective. It's not because they're scared of the numbers. They just don't know how those numbers are ever going to happen. So I know that new people are, again, you're probably nodding and you're thinking, 2,500 sounds scary. 10,000 might sound impossible, but it all sounds scary before you know how you're going to achieve that goal. So our job is to break it down. It takes 3 to 4 builders to make an area. So let's arm new builders with the verbiage they need to make them successful at attracting a team right away. So my tip number 5 is give them the tools that give them the confidence. If we know that it takes 3 to 4 builders to make an area, let's paint that vision for new builders right away. I explain that there are 2 things we do in Arbonne. We educate people about our product and we educate people about our business. And then I tell new builders that I'm going to teach you how to do that right away, both of those things. I teach them that we have to share this business, help other people, and build their team in order to hit the income goal that they want. Because remember, they've already told me what they want as far as income, and I'm just connecting the dots. But I also tell them that my goal for them is that they feel really confident in what they're sharing and that they don't feel pushy or salesy. I don't want that for them either. That's usually what new people are fearing. I give new builders verbiage to invite people to look at this business, and I make sure that they know that they do not have to have all the answers before they start sharing this business. I reconfirm that the call they're sharing or the meeting that they're inviting them to, that's going to paint the big picture. All they have to do is invite them. I find, you guys, that when you take the guesswork out of this and you just offer up a plan for people, they feel confident enough to face their fears and just start acting. So I go over a few examples with them so they feel really confident about the verbiage and how it's going to sound and how it's going to feel. And I tell them that I want them to be themselves, I want them to be genuine, and I want them to be honest when they're sharing this business. You guys, the approach I use, just as an example, I'm sure it's very similar to something you're used to. It's like a 4 bullet point approach. Number one, I just break the ice. I say something like, this is the strangest message you're going to get today, but ... Number two, I tell them briefly why I started this business. It's really important that you're vulnerable and you connect them to the why. That's the real thing for you. Really connect them to the reason you're doing this business. The third thing is I pay them a compliment. I tell them why I thought of them for this business, and I'm very specific and genuine to that person. I don't use things generally like, you're super nice and you're really sweet. Those are very general. I try to be super specific. And then lastly, I just ask, if I sent you a call, would you listen to it? Or if I invited you to a meeting, would you come with me? I use the if I, would you verbiage. So that's how the approach I use to invite someone to take a look. And then I send them out to talk about the business. I teach this builder that 4 bullet point approach to inviting someone to take a look, and then I send them out to do that right away. You guys, the key is I do this at the same time as I'm booking their launch shows. It's the same conversation. So I want them to know that talking about the business is just as important as talking about the product. They're equal parts. And when they're doing both, they're going area. That's really the answer. So when we arm people with big vision, with big goals, with confidence, with tools and verbiage right out of the gate, we're setting that person up for some serious success. And that's exactly what our job is to do here in Arbonne. We're supposed to help people move their businesses forward and find success. Our job is to be a coach, not just a cheerleader. So in closing, you guys, in Arbonne, I believe that my job is to make a profound difference in the lives of others. I haven't yet met anyone whose life was significantly or profoundly impacted at the level of district manager. I just haven't. For those of you who are there, what about at the level of area manager? Was your life changed at the level of area? For me, I was able to quit my job as an area manager. I became a lifer as an area manager. I was finally proud of myself. I felt like I was doing something that mattered, and I started to believe in the possibility of my dreams again. But none of that comes close to the life change that comes in every possible way at the level of MVP. Hold on 1 second. I have my monitor on in the background and my child is yelling. Sorry. So none of that comes close, you guys, to becoming a national vice president. That is the biggest life change that I've experienced in this business. So I'm asking you to not be a district manager making machine. I want you to be a life changer. And it starts with you. If you are bold enough to reach for bigger things for yourself and for your family, if you're bold enough to start reaching for nation today, others will be inspired by that example. And when you're bold enough to believe in yourself, you can't help but make others believe in themselves too. And when you're bold enough to raise the bar, you will attract the people that are bold enough to reach for it. So from 4 areas in 5 years to 26 areas in 2 years, the difference really is you. The shift happens within. A few weeks ago, Facebook, gotta love Facebook, reminded me of a post that I had posted 2 years ago on that day. I had made the post on Facebook because I had decided to go nation 2 years ago. This is what I wrote, and I have no idea what I was quoting, so I can't give you any source, but this is the quote. You were made for a purpose, and you were created to strive for greatness. But remember that you were made to become great in order to benefit the greater good, not yourself. God blesses us not for our own good, but so He can bless others through us. It's the same with our struggles and suffering, believe it or not. Through them, we learn lessons that we're meant to learn, then share and empower others. In either case, as Rick Warren said so perfectly, it's not about you. In your striving to be the best then, you must ask not what your greatness means to you, but what impact does it make on others. The success you create now is temporary, but the legacy you leave is eternal. Thinking about this legacy fuels you with a bigger purpose. So have an enormous purpose for yourself, you guys. Through your business, have an enormous purpose. And don't just have a vision that blesses you, have a vision capable of blessing many, many people. Thank you so much, Mary, for inviting me to train. I really hope that that was the different voice that you needed to really bring home this point.
Wow. I can listen to that over and over and over again. We've got to remember, guys, that our legacy in Arbonne, it's much, much more than a business. It's a legacy for eternal. And it's not, don't just think that the blessing is going to bless you, but you want to bless others, just as she says. You want to have the vision of really blessing others through this business opportunity. So thank you guys so much for joining me today for our huddle time. I hope that you guys were able to really receive what you needed today to maybe expand your vision, change your vocabulary, give the new business builders what they need, and to raise the bar and use the tools and trust the process in the way. So love you all, and thank you so much for joining me today. You all have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will be talking soon. Love you. Bye, everybody.